Okay, hi. Okay, so have started. Okay, so once again, I welcome. Very good evening. So kindly confirm if my screen is visible, audio, video, both are fine. All right, guys, welcome again. So good evening, and kindly confirm if my video, audio, both are fine.
Yes, sir. Fine, sir.
Perfect. Perfect. So this is the one where we are started about the arrays of Java, and I think we had seen only the initial thing where we can use, where we can create the arrays and add information to that. All right. So the further things we will discuss going further. Okay. So what we have did in here is that, okay, so we have declared and initialized the arrays using the new operator, and that will instantiate the values, okay, around 5. Why it is 5? Because the array size is 5. All right, so this is somewhere which we are trying to print the values. All right, so since because there are 5 in size, so we are upfront and we had executed using system.out.println up to number 5. Okay, so it is 5, that's why it's a limited number. Okay, or it is not a limited number, it is a small number, so that's why it is went good. All right, so what if it is 15, or what is if it 20, or for what if it is 25, or what if it is 50 or something like that. So if the number of arrays it's not number of arrays, it is size of arrays. If they are more, then we would have writing that particular, like, system.out.println for entire 50 to 50 type times, or 100 times, or 200 times. It's really uh, hectic job. So that's a reason we had initiated over there that the loops, and the loops are going to help us, like, going through the entire length of an array and printing the information, and that is what happened in the line number 20. Okay, so going further, we will understand that how to manipulate with the arrays, and how to deal with the length, and how to print the values associated with the arrays. Okay, so before I proceed further, okay, so let me just use the my whiteboard. All right, so now in here, so let's just say that is arrays. So arrays are the memory blocks. First thing first, it is memory blocks, and which stores the elements, right? Which stores the elements. So elements is in the form of data, okay, and that data can be anything. So it may be number, okay, it may be any data member, or it may be any data types. Okay, so any data type. All right, so any data type. So what are the data types that we have? We have an integer, we have a string, okay, so we have a boolean, we have the one a second, just a second, guys. Open up. ನಾಳೆಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು ಹಂಗೆ ನೀವು ಅಪ್ಪ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋದು ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಚಲೋ ಅದು. ಇಲ್ಲ 6:30 ಹಂಗ ಹೋಗಮ್ಮ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ, ಈಗ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ 6:30, 7 ತನಕ 7:30 ಹಂಗ ಹೋಗಮ್ಮ, 7:30 ಹಂಗ. Alright, I'm sorry. So Boolean, heading is okay, Boolean character, okay, so and any type of, and etc. Okay, so any type of, okay, so not etc, forget about it. So we have a floating numbers, or we can have a double numbers, okay, so like that. So any data that we can store in terms of data, and that data can be utilized going further. See, for example, I have a student details. All right, okay, so let's say that is student details. Okay, so when I say that student details, it is that the student will have concern to only student, it's a student name, okay, and student ID, okay, and okay, student ID, student section, all right, and the student student city, all right, and student, passing rank, all right. So all these informations are currently talking about only student. Okay, it is talking about only student. All right. So this are all the type of thing information. It is not about the student. Okay, so it is with the employee details as well. All right, employee details as well. So okay, it is with, okay, so we will talk about that is employee ID, right? Employee first name, last name, okay, first name, last name, and employee designation. All right, employee designation or employee city, and any information which is associated to it. So not only just a student and employee, it is with any product. All right, any product details. All right, any product so that we currently have. Okay, so it's like, for example, any mobile phone. Okay, so for example, so I have any product. Out of this product, okay, let's assume that is a mobile phone, is a water bottle, is a laptop. Okay, so any photo frames or any watches, right? So any spectacles, any wallet. Okay, so anything that currently says as an information, those type of information, those type of elements, those type of data can be stored in terms of arrays. So if I consider here any product details, okay, so that product details, we will have a product ID and we will have a product name. All right, we will have a product name and we will have a product price. Okay, we'll have a product price. So all these informations are considered to be, are these informations are considered to be the data elements or the data objects which used to define that what type of data that we are currently using it. Okay, so these type of information, I'm just trying to give you some of one of the examples. So but however, when it is come to the array kind of stuffs, like we will have a multiple information that can be utilized further. All right, so what am I trying to say is that the arrays are the memory blocks. All right, so which will be storing an elements. Okay, so not only just the memory blocks, sir, these are all fall under the family of, these only fall under the family of data structures. All right, so data structure, so structuring the data itself is a structured data. The name itself says that. Okay, what type of data it is and what type of structure it has. Okay, so number structure is different, string structure is different, boolean structure is different, character structure is different, float structure is different. So irrespective to the structures that the data have, or irrespective to the data that what we came across in everyday practices, those type of data can be taken place in terms of them. Okay, and these arrays are very, very useful. There are essentials to store. There are essentials to store. How they store? They store in a continuous manner. Okay, so it is like, continuous manner. Okay, continuous manner is contiguous memory block or something like that. So it will come in further way. And these are all primitive in nature. All right, these are all primitive in nature. All right, primitive in nature. All right, so that means, okay, they can be stored in a continuous memory location, which means that the elements are placed next to each other in memory. All right, I'll tell again. So arrays are continuous memory allocation, and continuous memory allocation is said to be arrays elements are stored in continuous memory locations, which means that the elements are placed next to each other in memory. And this is a zero balanced indexing. All right, it is, arrays are zero balanced indexing. All right, so that means the first element is always, all right, the first element is always starts with 0, or always the index with 0. All right, that is always array is, okay, so or else can say that the first element. All right, so always in arrays is at 0, is 0 index. All right, so always the arrays are considered in terms of index. Okay, so how it is going to work? Okay, let me just open my paint, and I'm just trying to show you that how it will just look like. So whenever there is a block which gets created, okay, so let's assume that there is a block had happened like this. All right, so not this one, sorry. Okay, so not this one. Okay, so let me just take this. All right, so let's assume that this is the block of entire memory. Okay, this is the block of entire memory, and within this there would be blocks. All right, so I'll just take the lines like this, and I'm said that it is a contiguous memory blocks. All right, so like this, so every after next there would be a block, every after block there would be values which is stored inside that particular block. All right, so for our general understanding, for our general understanding, we will just draw like this and understand ourselves, but it is when coming to the computer things, right? So within the processor itself or within the JVM itself, it will understand that where the block has to go and how the block has to be utilized, and all the things is taken in there. Okay, so let's assume that. Okay, so now here. Okay, so now here you can pass the values. Okay, so you can pass the values into this. All right, so let's say, okay, so it has a 10 over here. Okay, so it has a 11 over here. Okay, so it has a 12 over here. All right, so the numbers are may not be continuous, but the blocks are continuous. All right, so let's say it is like, okay, 2 over here, okay, 3, or let's say it is 43, let's say it is 97, okay, let's say 8, or let's say again, okay, 9, and say it is again it is 13. Okay, it may be 33, or it may be again 49. All right, so like that. 49, so like that. So here these numbers are not to be consider not to be focused much, but the focusing that what we need to do whenever there is said to be an array. Okay, whenever there is said to be an array. All right, so let me just write it properly. All right, so let's say it is an array of numbers array. All right, so these reading will start from a 0. Okay, so this is 1, this is 2, okay, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6, this is 7, this is 8, this is 9, this is 10, and this is 11. So these things, okay, so these things are called as like index. These things are called as like index, and whatever the values that is there inside the box, they are called as like elements. Okay, they are called as like elements, or they can also call as like data. They're also called as like data. They're also called as like data. All right, so these things are something where interrelated. Okay, so if I wanted to print it to be 10, I need to focus and I need to give information as index. So if I it's supposed to be like this. Okay, if I say that is print of 0, okay, it's print of array of 0. Okay, and please understand this print is system.out.println. Okay, so as like this. Okay, system.out.print array of 0. So when I say array of 0, so this will gives the output of 10. So what am I doing it? I'm focusing on, or I am giving the reference of index number. Okay, index number. Whenever there is index number is given in respect to the system.out.println, then the value will be coming on the screen. So this is how we'll try to access the values which is present in the array. Okay, so we're going to see that thing in terms of programming as well. And this is what we call it as like zero balance indexing. Zero balance index is like the value is starting from a 0. That's what it is. Okay, and it may be any number of, so as of now the length is total 12. All right, so since it is starting from 0, that doesn't mean that it doesn't have a count. 0 is also count. So if I consider 0 as a count, obviously the total length is going to be the 12 in particular one. All right, so that's how it is. Okay, and going further, it is also is like, okay, so it is a fixed length. Very, very important, and fixed length, and this is an important concept of arrays, but at the same time this is also considered to be a drawback, because array will not grow dynamically. So that would be the disadvantage. Okay, so once an array is, okay, so once an array is created. All right, array is created. Once the array is created, its size is fixed, right? Its size is fixed and cannot be changed. Cannot be changed. Either it will not grow or either it will not shrink. That's how it is. And we can store, okay, we can store the primitive and objects. We can store primitive and objects. Okay, so here what happens is like, okay, so the Java arrays can hold both, okay, both, I'm sorry. Okay, both primitive types, okay, primitive types and objects. All right, so when it is come to the primitive types, guys, okay, so the primitive types, as you all know, okay, so it is in terms of integer, it is in terms of character, all right, it is in terms of boolean, all right, it is in terms of boolean, all right, and it is anything, okay, so anything, etc., like that. Okay, and when it comes to an object, right? Okay, so objects are maybe like, okay, so it is like in terms of strings. Okay, so object of strings, okay, or strings, and any of the other objects that we can certainly. Okay, so we'll have an integer. This capital I integer is something different, and small I integer is something different. Okay, so we're gonna discuss about this whenever there is the wrapper class comes into picture. We'll discuss about it, but please to understand that the you know uh, capital I integer is also an integer, but they are considered to be as an object. So they are not like non-primitive informations as such. So these are the characteristics that we can see in terms of arrays, okay, in terms of arrays, and we will utilize the further. All right. So if there is any question as like, what is an array? Okay. So what are the characteristics of an array? So it's like an interview question. So you guys able to answer these questions, including all the characteristics that it has. All right, so let's just come back to the programming section. So just try to see that is okay. So what it's actually talking about. So as of now, I've already created the class of arrays. So what I do is I'll just take off this previous code of point, and I'll try to do that once again. It's like, okay, so what do I do is let's go ahead and initialize. All right, let's go ahead and initialize the array. So how to initialize the arrays? And we have that is syntactic, that is syntax of that syntactic representation is called syntax, or syntax is also called as like signature. All right, it is a traditional signature. That's where, okay, initialize any initialize. Okay, so signature is also called as like the syntax. It is the traditional way of representing something. All right, so how it is going to work? Okay, so when it is come to the syntax, right? So we will take the first is like we'll take the data types. We'll take any data type, okay, data type, and associated with the square bracket, and here we'll take the array name. Okay, here we'll take the array name, and for this array name, okay, for this array name, we'll assign with the new operator. And again, so we will assign with the data type, and data type should tell the size here. Okay, the data type should tell the size here. And very important here is that, okay, so whatever the data type that will take in the beginning, the same data type should be here. The same data type should be here. Okay, so anyways, I'll just more comment it and just try to see this. I'll take this, that is integer and square bracket, and here I'll take here as like numbers equals to, and I'll use the new, and I'll use that is integer, and I'll say that is somewhere around, that is okay, this time that is there are the 8 values. Okay, so you can see what I'm trying to do at this moment of time, this integer and this integer, both are same. So, but at the same time, you can see this, okay, if I take an integer over here, if I take an integer over here, and I'll say something as like, okay, so again, that is numbers and 1 equals to, and I'll say that is new. And as I mentioned that we have to take the same data type. So what if I take the another data type here? What if I take the another data type here? So I'll say like this, and you can see there is a state error, and it is the error is saying about the information is like type mismatch, that is numbers 1 to string. Change the type of numbers 1 to string. So type of numbers 1. Okay, since because we all know that the right hand side is the value get assigned to the left hand side because of the assignment operator. So hence I have taken that is new string 8. It is the right hand side. That's why what is it is what the IntelliSense is suggesting that change the left hand side value to the string. Okay, because it is string, right? It is string, right? So that's why it is trying to change the string. All right, so that's how it is, guys. So whatever the data type that you will take in over here, the same data type supposed to be taken here, and we just need to mention this, we mention the size as well. So now, as of now, I'll not do any hasty things on this particular, and now going further. All right. All right, so now, so since you can see numbers are created, but I mean number array is created, but it is not initialized. All right, so now going forward, what do I do is let's utilize that in particular. So now what I do is, okay, so let's define the array values or array elements or array values. Values is also called as like data. Data is also called as like elements. So don't confuse. If I say that is array values, same thing. Array data is same thing. Array elements, same thing. So now what do I do is I'll take directly as like numbers, and since it is an array, array is always denoted with the square brackets. Make sure that, okay, so let me just tell you here. Okay, so one more information here is that, okay, so arrays always denoted with square bracket, denoted with square brackets. All right, like this. All right, that's how it is. Okay, so what is the spelling? Okay, square, yes, capital A. Okay, okay, square brackets. And now here, so this square bracket will be like, providing a value to that. Okay, so very first thing is like, so it will start with the 0 and I'll assign the values. Let's say it is like 10 over here. So that's how it is. I'll say that is numbers, and for the one index, I'll say the value as like, 20 over here. All right, so I'll say that is like numbers, and the second one equals to, let's say it is 21 like this. And I'll say that is numbers, and I'll say that is third element, and equal to, say it is 22. And I'll say that is numbers, and I'll say that is 4 equals to, say it is, let's say it is 31. And at the same time, it is like numbers, and I'll say that is 5 equals to, let's say it is 32 like this. So now I can see, okay, so now I can see this is the item number 1, okay, and this is the item number 2, all right, and this is the item number 3, all right, and this is the item number 4, okay, and this is the item number 5, okay, item number 5, all right, and this is item number 6, all right, but what is the size? Size is 8, and how many items that I've taken? 6. So that means I need to take another 2 more information to that particular. And now here the question arises, sir, if I don't take all the 8, so what if I close the arrays with the item number 6? Okay, so can I do that? So to be answer to that, yes, you can do that. And what happens to the other 2 blocks that the array has? It's no use. It is no use. So what I'm trying to say is, at this moment of a time, okay, what am I trying to say at this moment of a time? Just give me a minute. Okay. Okay, what am I trying to, I just need a pen. Wait a second. Okay, so just a moment, guys. Mm-hmm. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Okay, sorry. So here it is. Okay, so what am I trying to say at this moment of a time? So it is trying to say, okay, so I have an array like this, array box like this. Okay, I'm sorry, let me just draw it properly. All right, like this. Okay, so how much I have taken values? I have taken 8, and out of which I'm taking, that is 10 over here, okay, 20 over here, okay, and again 21 over here, okay, and next 22 over here, okay, and next 22 over here, and next it is 31 over here, and next it is 32 over here. So how many values are being sent? That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now what is the size? It is 8. So 6 values are being done. So that there should be another 2 blocks. Another 2 blocks. And these 2 blocks is remains empty. Okay, remains empty if you are not using it. Okay, it remains empty when you are not utilizing it. Okay, so with this itself, we can proceed further with the programming. You can see this. And one more thing. So in order to print the values, okay, so as I said that, okay, so like in order to get the values, all right, in order to get the elements, right, get the elements, in order to get the elements of, okay, elements or data or values, okay, from the array, all right, from the array. Okay, so we need to what? We need to call the index. We need to call the index count or index value. Okay, if we need to call the index value. So if the index value is called, then of course, we can be able to provide the information. Sorry, we can be able to get the values on the screen. So how to call the index values? So in order to call the index value, so we will have to make it as like, so it is like, array name, Okay, array name reference, and in the square bracket and the number of index. Okay, number of index. So that's how it is. So, okay, so that's the syntax. Okay, so now array name is what? Array name is numbers and the square bracket. So within the square bracket, if I say 0 now, okay, so this should give me the value as 10, right? So let me just save everything, Control S, and right click, and let's just go back and see whether the values are coming on the screen or not. There you are. Okay, there you are. So that's the first element of array. So that means we are referencing to the first element of the array. So that's how it is. So like that, we try to do with the other elements as well. So like, and I'll just copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. Okay, so in the place of 0, I'll just say this is 1, this is 2. Okay, so this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3, and this is 4, and this is 5. So how many elements are there? Okay, so 5 elements are there. All right, so I just simply right click on that, click OK, Java. Okay, so now it is asking me to save and launch. So I'll say that is save and launch. Yes, please click OK, and I can see all the values on screen. So you can see that is, okay, all the value on screen. You can see that is 10, 20, 30. Okay, so 10, 10, 20, 21, 22, 31, 32. So 10, 20, 21, 22, 31, 32. So these are the informations that it is actually happening through the programming, which is stored in the array memory. All right, so as of now, I have the 8, but how many I'm printing? I'm printing 5. So what if I say it is like, okay, I wanted to print by the 6, but this is where I should tell the error, because the value is not present, value is not defined yet, right? Defined yet. So let me just go back and see that. Right click and run as Java application. So there is, oh my god, it's giving me 0. It should give me an error then. Okay, but it is giving 0. So same thing. Okay, so I presume that it might be error again. Because the values are not there. I'll say there is number of 7. Okay, save it again. Okay, so it might be again I'll say there might be an error. Because I have not initialized it. But when it is come to the values which is not there in the array, it will store like a 0. Okay, and what if I say it as like, okay, so what if I say it as like 0? Okay, so what if I say, okay, so see, so okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so what if I, what happened, raw? Okay, sure. So what if I say it as like, okay, so the numbers, and what if I say it is 8 over then? Okay, it must be array. Okay, so it must be 0 now. Okay, we must be thinking there is 0 now, but we will have an error. So what it is saying, it is index 8 out of bounds for the length 8. So this clearly means that okay, so even if you don't provide any values, it will be empty. So the empty value of an array is always 0. But if you don't have another block, that is the 9th memory of the error, that's where we'll get an error. All right, so here it is not an error actually. Okay, so it is not an error actually, and this is also not an error actually, but here is an error actually. Okay, the reason why is array size is, all right, array size is 8, but we tried to look for the 9th element. We try to look for the 9th element. That's a reason. Okay, so this clearly means that whenever we call the element size which is not there, okay, which is not in the array, then it's okay, then it's an error. But when there is no, even though there is no value, it is stored like 0, it will store like 0. Okay, please understand that. So it is like empty is, okay, so this is empty element or empty element. Element is a value, and this is also empty element. So these are all the information that we need to see it. Okay, so here we are not getting the error because these 3 are the valid places of the arrays. And one more thing, now since the array element is 8, and I'm just tying like system.out.println, so about 8 times I have printed it. So what if in the place of 8, and if it is like 80, what will you do? So it will be a really the problem, because 80 times you just need to type it as like system.out.println, system.out.println, system.out.println. So that really like more drastic thing, we cannot type it. Okay, and it is exerting as well. It will be like more exerting thing, so it is not recommended when it is come to the good practice. So that's a reason what we do is, instead of writing system.out.println in order to get the element, we will use Okay, so we will make use of the looping because that is an automation, right? So we will make use of looping for the automation purpose, right? For the automation purpose. So in the automation, what will happen? It will like repetitive information can be happen. So for that reason, I'll just say this: for I start with a 0, that is the 0th index, and I'll say that is I should be lesser than the length of, okay, so length of array, right? Length of array, right? Length of an array, and it has to be increasing from the 0. And this is how we need to use the for loop. And length of array, all right, length of array. So how do we determine this and how do we actually make use of it? You're going to see in the next few couple of seconds. But until here, I think that you guys have got to understand that how to initialize the arrays and how the values are stored in the arrays, and what are index, what are element, what are empty array, and what is index error, and how it actually exert each and everything. Okay, so moving forward, let's talk about the for loop, how we can actually do the for loop and how we can actually get the things done. So in order to differentiate the above sentence and the below sentence, I'll just take the equal to sign in here. Okay, so before the equal to sentence, system.out.println I'm going to print, and the below one, it's going to print with the for loop. So I'll say that is for int I is equal to 0 and I is, okay, semicolon, and I is less than. So what we need to do here is that array length. So what is array reference? It is numbers. All right, and numbers, you just say dot. The moment when you say the dot, right? So these are all the methods which are responsibly working with the arrays right now. So out of which the most method that is used is length, and that's it. And I plus plus. So this is completely taking care of the length of an array. So what is the total length of an array? The total length is here. So total length is what? Total length is not 80, but it is 8. Okay, not empty, but it is 8. I'll show it to you taking the 8 also, not a problem. All right, so now going forward, I'll say it here, that is CISO, okay, CISO, and it is like numbers, and where the values are going to interchange, that is with the I reference. Okay, so this is where, elements of, elements of array can be determined. All right, so save everything, right click and run as Java application. All right, and you're gonna see, okay, wait a second. So why it is coming in error? Because this line, the 8. Okay, so I'll just comment that. Right click now, any empty area, right click, run as Java application, and I should be getting all the information on the screen. You can see the same information. See, this line is going to differentiate. The above one and the below one. So the above one with the help of system.out.println, and the below one, it is with the help of for loop, guys. Okay, so using for loop is the better way out in order to execute any errors. Okay, any errors. So instead of typing like this, okay, so what if I take that is 80 over here? Okay, and right click and go ahead and run as an application. Now let's sit. Okay, so now it here, and you can see, all right, so for loop actually given the value, but the system.out.println, what happened? System.println is only the 6 times, because only the 6 times, only 6 or 7 times that I have written system.out.println. That's the reason. Not 6 times, it may be I think it is 8 times. All right, so only 8 times we had given the information over here, but when it is come to the for loop, you can see all the 80 it has reached. Since it is 0, because there is no value, it is empty element, so that's the reason it is coming 0 by default. So up to 80, the for loop is worked. The total length is 80, and so irrespective of the values that you is going to use it at this moment of time, and that will be taken care by the for loop. And now we know that is the length of array is 8. And what if I say it is here as like, okay, I is less than 8, and right click and say it as Java application, and then, okay, let's say this. Okay, then there you are. We know that the length is 8. Instead of using the lexicographical method inside, and we can directly say that is 8, because 8 is the length of an array that we had seen. So that's the reason we can directly give the value over there as like 8. But if might can ask me, like, what is a good practice? What is a good practice of doing coding? So in that case, using the method with the array reference is the right way of doing the arrays, and this is how we will get the values of the arrays out of the screen. Okay, so this is how we will, get the information for the arrays and get the things done. So out of this is like, okay, I'll create one more class and we'll try to do some more practices. Okay, some more practices like how the values are created and how they are actually, implemented inside it. But until here, okay, until here, what we need to understand few things is, okay, so I'll say that is again, once again, that is as like, okay, so arrays second class, arrays second class, right? And with the main function, click OK, finish. All right, so this is the class is created at this moment of time. So now in here, I'll just take it off that the comment which is not needed. So as of now, we just need to understand, like, so whenever there is a term, terms comes into the arrays, right? Arrays, right? So we just need to talk about the only one thing, that is nothing first. We need to declare it, first thing. Second one is we need to initialize it. Okay, sorry. Yeah, we need to, we need to initialize it. We can initialize it and we need to use it. That is access it. Okay, these three elements, these three informations can actually be done. These three information can actually be done in that particular. I'm sorry, it's like, I'm just using that, the multi-line commenting. Okay, that's how it is. So this is the multi-line commenting that we generally use in the different way out. Okay, so here is something what we need to focus whenever it is come to the array concept, guys. So in the arrays, we need to initialize. Okay, so we need to initialize. Okay, change it to like, okay, initialize, access, and all the things. All right, so whatever the practice that we have did, okay, so this is a single dimensional array. There are the two type of arrays that we see, but anyways, we'll do some more practices. So as of now, okay, so let's do like, how to declare it. Okay, so now to declare it, I'll say this way, that is, int. Okay, and I'll say it as like, okay, arr. Okay, that's the standard way. So this is nothing but a declare. All right, this is nothing but a declare, the first one. So here I'll say this is a declare. All right, and next is we need to initialize it. How do we initialize it? How do you initialize it? So, how do you initialize it? So on the initialization, so whatever the name it had that you have taken, so take the name, just copy this, come back, paste it here, and equal to sign. So the moment when you say equals to, that means the assignment operator, whatever is there in the right hand side, it will get assigned to the left hand side value. So now I'll say there is with the new operator which helps to create an object for anything that we taken at the left hand side. So now here, so as I already mentioned that, so we need to give here the data type, right? The syntax says that, what the syntax says that it is a data type. All right, what the syntax says that it is data type, right? Data type square bracket and the array name equals to new and your data type, right? Your data type, and within this, okay, sorry, okay, so this data type, and within this we need to give the size, right? Within this we need to give the size. So now coming back to this, so data type is already there. So you might be and ask me like, so you are saying data type and the square bracket and the array reference, but you had directly taken error, then where is this reference? Okay, so this reference is already here. Okay, so this is nothing but a separate declaration. You can do it in the single line, or you can declare it like this also. All right, so I'll just take the new and next the data type. So what data type it is? It is integer data type. I'll say that is integer data type. So inside which you can process with the value, and just I'll take it as like 5. And now here, what we need to do? The third axis. Okay, so sorry, the declare is done, initialize is done, and what do we need to do? So we need to initialize the values actually. So this is there where the object is created. We are actually allocated the memory here, right? We are actually allocated the memory, allocated the size of the, okay, allocated the size of the array, okay, size of the array, and we need to pass the values to that. So how to initialize it? So we all know that it will start with the 0. It will start with the 0th index. Okay, 0th index inside the square bracket. Okay, so we all know that the the array is represented in terms of square bracket, right? So I'll say it here. So that is ARR 0th element equals to, you can pass the values. Okay, so anything that it is like, I'll say that is 2, and let's say again ARR and the 0th value, and I'll say it is like 4, and I'll say that is ARR and the second value, I'll say it as like 3. All right, and ARR, and that's the value is 3. Okay, so third element, I'll say it as like, okay, so I'll say it as like 5, and I'll say that is ARR, and that's the last fifth element, and I'll say it as like, okay, 6, like this. So all the values all the values are been passed. Okay, so this is item number 1, that is value number 1, and this is value number 2. Okay, item, value, data, everything is fine with the same values. Okay, sorry, with the same naming for these things. All right, so I'll say that is value number 4 and this is value number 5. So what is the total size of an array? It is 5. So we can use that is these many things. Okay, once it is done, how do we access it? Now we need to access it. How do you access it? Using for loop. Okay, access always with the loop. Okay, using loop, any loop. So you can use it with the for, you can use it with the while, that's up to you. I'll say that is start with a 0 because I have a 0th element. I have a 0th element here. So start with a 0. Okay, start with a 0 and I'll say that is semicolon here, and you can say, so as I said, that is I is always lesser than the statement that what it is there. Okay, what it is there. Okay, the what it is there as a length. All right, so you can say directly 5 over here, but at the same time we'll use it as like the the method reference, that is array dot length, and I'll say that is I plus plus, and with the with the floor basis, and I'll say that is CISO within the CISO, that is ARR I, like this. So save everything, save everything. So all the things are okay, declare done, initialize done, and accessing with the loop. So right click, run as Java application, and we will be seeing all the things on the screen. Hope the thing is clear. Hope the topic is clear. Any doubts so far? Any doubts so far?
Oh, sir. Clear, sir. All clear.
Perfect. Okay, so this is okay. So to be precise here, there are two types of arrays. One is single dimension, another one is multi-dimensional, or we'll say two-dimensional. Okay, so that's kind of arrays that what we see all the time. Okay, so out of which is like, okay, so we're going to see some arrays. All right, so we'll just do some practice arrays. Right, so once after the next, we're going to see the multiple as well. So as of now, okay, let me tell you the multiple as well. So in that case, we can once it is been done, right, so we can start solving some array related questions. All right, so now here to be understood here, guys. Okay, the very first is that, okay, so very first is that, okay, as I said, okay, so as I said that, okay, things are very clear. All right, so when there is an array reference, and this array will be the reference with the help of index, and these index will be pointing to the single values, okay, so like this, single values, any single values it is pointing. All right, so any values inside which, okay, so it is like, okay, so x1, any values, x2, okay, x3, okay, x4, any values, x5, okay, so h6. So in terms of x, you can give any, numerical theory, I mean numerical numbers, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are the values. But when it is come to the index, right? Okay, but anyways, okay, do not make you the confusion here, x1, x2, x3, x4. You might can feel the confusion. So instead of confusion here, so let me just take some values here. So I'll say that is 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10, and say it as like 12. All right. So these are elements. Index is like it will start with the 0. It will start with the next is 2, next is 1. Okay, next is 1, next is 2, next is 3, next is 4, and next is 5. Okay, so in the referencing to the index. Okay, so array index. All right, array index, always an array index. Whatever the array index, we will have it, right? Whatever the array index, we will have it, right? So this is nothing but a single dimension array. All right, single dimensional array. All right, so likewise we have a multi-dimensional array. We're gonna say this just in the moment. Okay, Okay, so right click, I'll create a new class and I'll say it as like, okay, so multi-dimensional. Okay, multi-dimensional array. And with the main function, I'll create it. Okay, and there you are. The class has been created. So now here, what is a multi-dimensional arrays? Like arrays with more than one dimension, such as two-dimensional arrays. It is like matrices. Okay, so do you guys know the matrices? Okay, how's the matrices is going to be? So matrices is like something. Okay, matrices is going to be something like this. Matrices is going to be something like this. That is m into n. So m is a row, n is a column. So within this, okay, so within this, the values are stored. Within this, the values are stored like, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 4, 5, and 6, and it is 7, 8, and 9. Okay, 7, 8, 9. Like this. Okay, so it is like m into n. It is like 3 into 3, 3 into 3. So that's the matrices. Okay, so how do we actually utilize this thing, and how we can actually again. So as you all know that, the very first one is declare. The very first one is declare. Second one is initialize. Okay, initialize, and the third one is access. So these three informations can be passed into that particular. The very first one is, okay, so the 2D array. So multi-dimensional array is nothing but like now I'm going to do with the 2D array now. All right, 2D array. 2D array means, okay, so how the syntax is going to work for this? Okay, how the syntax? If it is one array, it is like one square. If it is two, then it 2 square, right? And before that, we will use the data type. We'll use the data type for that. All right, and next again, the remain same. Okay, data type, and here is array name. Okay, array name, and next is equal to, next again new, and okay, next again new. All right, next again new, and again it is your data type. Simple as that. Okay, data type like this. All right, a square bracket. Okay, and here within this, we'll say the size. We will say the size. Okay, which is say the size. All right, so how the things is going to work and all the things is going to happen in this case, just kindly focus. Okay, we'll create the two arrays, and we will create the two objects for this particular, and we will make the things are working in more other the way. All right, understanding here? Okay, so now going further. Okay, so now going further. All right, so now going further. Okay, so here the size can be, so since sir, okay, so we have a 2 square brackets. Of course, we have to use 2 square brackets, and we just need to say size and size. Okay, so you're gonna understand like how it's going to work. Okay, so let me just let me just go ahead and get this practice. Okay, 2D dimensional array is something like, okay, so how to declare it? So I'll declare it first thing first. Let's go ahead and declare it. So how to declare it, sir? How to declare it, sir? So I'll say that is int, that's a data type, square bracket. Okay, square bracket, square bracket. Okay, square bracket and square bracket like this equals to, and I'll take it as like, so okay, you can provide any information. Don't say equal to, I'm just declaring it. So I'll say it is like ARR again. All right, declare is done. Declare is done. So what is next? Okay, we need to initialize now. We need to initialize now. So under the initialization, so in this, here is like you need to initialize in terms of rows and columns. Okay, rows and columns respectively. Rows and column respectively. So respectively means we have to take, okay, we have to take rows first and the columns next. That's the respectively which says this. So now it here. So I'll say that is ARR equal to new, and again your data type. What data type? It isn't. So very first. So how many rows are here? How many rows are here? 3 rows and 3 columns. Now what do I do is I'll take it as like, okay, I'll take it as like one row with 3 columns. So what it is it now? What is it now? It is like 1, 4, 7. This is, okay, sorry, it is not one. Okay, so this is like, this is one column. This is row number 1. This is row number 2. This is row number 3, correct?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so but now what I'm saying is like, it is like one row It is like one row, and it is like, okay, square brackets like this, square bracket like this. Okay, so this is row number one, this is row number one, and in the row number one, it is 1, 2, 3. So how it is going to be happen? So this is column number one, this is column number two, and this is column number three, like this. This is row number one, column number one. So that's what I have written in over here. That is the array is represented. Okay, so in this, right? Okay, array is represented with one line of row, one line of row, and three lines of column. So this is what that I have. This is what I have written at this moment of time. So now let's make it the clean information for this. So now we need to initialize the values now, right? Initialize the value. Initialize the values now. So how to initialize, sir? So how to initialize this, sir? I'll use it as like ARR. Okay, for the first row. Okay, so sorry, it is like first row, it is always index starts with a 0, and for this I'll take it as like 2. All right, and again ARR. So now again 0th index itself, because 0th index itself. Okay, 0th index itself, because the row is 1, so it is 0, the entirely. All right, so this entirely, so this one. Okay, so this one, what one? This one, this entirely is a 0th index. Okay, so how do we access is like, okay, so it is like, okay, so 0 of row of 0 of 0 of 0. So in that case, the 1 will print like that. Row of 0 of 1 it is. Okay, so then 2 will print, and like that, row of 0 of and 2. So in that case, the 3 will print like this. So 0 is the only syntax which is referencing with the 3 values, that is 1, 2, 3. So that's the reason. So that's the reason we will say that is row of 0 of 2, and here I'll say that is as like 4, and again I'll say that is array of 0, and I'll say it as like, let's just say it is like 6. It is 6. Okay, so now all these values is supposed to be, so for 0th of, okay, I'm really sorry, it is like 0 of 0. Okay, 0 of 0. Okay, not 4, the 2, 4, 6 are the values. Okay, 0 of 0, 0 of 1, and 0 of 2, like this. So 0 of 0 I'll say it as like 2, and 0 of 1 is I'll say it as like 4, and it is like 6, like this. Okay, so this will, okay, so 2 is this is like atom number 1 or value number 1. It is value number 1, and this is value number 2, right? Value number 2, and this is value number 3. Okay, this is value number 3. So now access the elements using loop. So what is the loop? Okay, so I'll use the for loop. Int starts with I equal to 0, I is less than, what is that? It is ARR dot the length. Okay, and I plus plus, and use floor base, and simple as that. See, so that is ARR of, okay, ARR of. Okay, let me quickly say right click and run as Java application, and to see information, let's just say okay, and let's just say okay. I'm sorry, it is, I'm thinking the console is running. I just clicked in here. Okay, so now console is here. Okay, so it is coming the memory information. It's coming the memory information. It's coming the memory information. Then how do you do it? Whatever you are getting here is that this is the object address. All right, so you need to get the values, right? Okay, I'll show that, but before that, okay, so since it is just the 3 values, right? Okay, wait a second. So okay, so okay, let me just take off these things. Okay, and I'll show that how the for loop will work for the 2-dimensional things, but instead of using the for loop, right? Okay, so since it is just the 3, right? Since it is just the 3, right? Okay, so access value, I'll just try to do it with the CISO. Okay, so if I show it with the CISO, you'll understand how to take it in a for loop. You just see this. So in the system one, okay, sorry, system.out.println one. So what we do is I'll say that is array reference, and again, so what I'm going to call is like it is 0th element at the 0th element. Okay, so whatever it is assigned here, it will come on the screen. You can see this. Okay, so run as Java application, and it should come as like 2 over here. So there you are, 2. So like that, I'll take your CISO, Okay, system.out.println, system.out.println. So I have assigned is like, okay, 0 and a 1, 0 and a 1, 0 and a 2, and now you can see right click and job application, click OK, and you can see that is 246 on the screen. So here, while calling also, we need to call with the array reference, that is I comma, okay, array reference, that is index and the position. Sorry, index and the index. Okay, so now you can just think how to use the for loop. All right, and keep me posted. But anyways, so this is how, all right, this is how the values are utilized. Okay, so to be precise here, how the arrays are going to be worked at this moment of a time, you can say this. Okay, so as I said, that is column number 0, this is column number 1, this is column number 2, and at the same time it is rows number 0, it is row number 1, and it is row number 2. So like that. So it may be going like this, and it may be going like this. Okay, so n number of rows can be taken, n number of columns can be taken. So now when it is come to row 0 column 0, row 0 column 0, right, row 0 column 0, so it will be like 0, okay, 0th index of 0th index, okay, 0th index of row, 0th index of column, like that. So it will like that. So if you have solved the matrices in your general mathematics, then it would be easy for you. So again, now in here, okay, so it is 0, okay, 0 matrix, and it is 1 matrix. Okay, so this is how I have utilized just before. Okay, so and this is how the multi-arrays can be utilized, guys. So as of now it is 0. So when it is come to here, it is okay. So the very first is a row. That's what I said. Okay, so the row and a column but it should be respectively. That means the row should be first. So row value is 1. Okay, column value is 0, right? And row value is 1, and the column value is 1, and row value is, again it is 1, and the column value is 2. And going further, here the row value is 2, and the column value is 0. Okay, and again row value is 2 again, and the column value is 1, and row value is 2 again, and the column value is 3. So whatever the values, okay, so whatever the reference that you take for these things, okay, so let's assume that the array name is, okay, array name is, say it is X. All right, so it is like X reference for everywhere. So any name, okay, any name that you can take it, but for just understanding, so I'm just taking it as like X, everywhere X. So X reference is for the arrays, and when you pinpoint on these values, okay, you will get the element of the array, guys. Understanding? Okay, so that's how it will work. And this is the differentiation between the single array and the two-dimensional array of the Java programming language. Okay, so these are the two representation way. So going further, we'll try to access, okay, so we'll try to give the we try to see the multiple programs on this particular, and we'll try to solve some problematics questions as well. All right, and we try to see the elements of the arrays and how to make use that, and we also see the real-time implementation of the multidimensional arrays. All right, so how actually these things are taken care, and how actually we can actually deal with the array length and everything. Okay, and I'll show you one more thing. Okay, so I would like to see the array. I would like to see the array length, and I can see this. Okay, so I'll say it as like, okay, array length for the multidimensional one. So what do I do is I'll say that is system.out.println, and into this, okay, so I would like to see what are the rows. All right, I would like to see what are the rows, and for this I'll say that is array dot length. Okay, and also the number of columns. Okay, so if I wanted to see, that is array length. All right, so again array length of columns. So the above one is rows, and the below one is columns. All right, and now here I'll say that is CISO, and here I'll say that is double quotes and columns. Okay, columns, and I'll say that is plus, that is ARR dot, and ARR, it is not just it is not just ARR. So we'll say that is AR of zeroth reference and dot length. We just need to do like this, then we will be able to see the columns of the arrays, guys. All right, so right click on that, and I would like to see that is what are the number of rows, what are the number of columns. Okay, so you can see number of rows is 1 and number of columns of 3. So when we say that is array of 0, all right, that is the index of 0, that's where it will represent the columns of the multidimensional arrays whenever it comes to the picture. And one more thing, okay, this is not a traditional way. This is not a traditional way that we do with the multidimensional array. Okay, what to do is, let's just go back and create one more class, and I would like to show you that the good right practice, how the two-dimensional arrays can be utilized and synthesized going further. All right, so and how we can actually declare it declare statically. So what do I do is, let me just okay, just come back here, right click, and I'll go to the new, and I'll create a class, and let's say the class is multidimensional again. So I'll say it as like okay, so multidimensional, all right, dimensional. All right, with the main function, I'll create it finish, and now I'll just take off this not needed comment, and now here. So what do I do is, let's, the very first is like we need to declare it, right? So now very first thing, okay, so int, and I'll take that is array and array. All right, array and array, that is two-dimensional. So order which is here, instead of going for a new, okay, or instead of leaving like this, okay, so I'll assign the values to this equal to here, and whenever there is an array supposed to be declared, it has to be declared with the floor basis. It has to declared with the floor basis, remember that. So within that floor basis, I'll take some value. I'll say that is in 2, 3, 4, and I'll use the floor bracket like this and place a comma, and on the floor base, okay, so let's say that is 5, 6, 7, or let's just say that let's just say it is like, okay, 3, okay, 6, 1, like that. Okay, and one more thing is, I'll take it as like 7, 4, 2. Okay, how is it looking like? Okay, I think we need one more brackets. Wait a second. So it itself says how many brackets is needed. One bracket. This is closing the main function. This is closing the class. Okay. So now here. Okay. So now here, let me write it in the single line. That is floor base like this, and this floor base is to with this. Okay. Floor base is this, and what am I missing? I'm missing semicolon. So you can write like this. Okay. So this is the first element, this is the second element, and this is the third element. Okay, so this is nothing but a multi-dimensional one. Earlier we had seen the two-dimensional, now it is a multi-dimensional. All right, so multi-dimensional can be written like this. So this is the array number 1, this is array number 2, and this is array number 3. So to be precise, like how it will work, okay, how it will like synthesized here. So this is index number 0, this is index number 1, and this is index number 2. So if I wanted to access the 2 over here, right? So it has to be like, okay, 0 index of, okay, 0 index of 0. Okay, and 0 index of 1, remember that. Okay, so that's really important. Okay, so and this we would be very clear for this particular. All right, very clear for this particular. So now in this here, right, okay, so 0 of 0, 0 of 1, 0 of 2. So this is going to tell about the array number 1, and this is like, okay, so this is like 1 of, okay, so the index of 1 is 0, and this is the index of 1 of 1, okay, 1 of 1, and this is the index of 1 of 2. Okay, so like this. And for the like, it is like, okay, so 0 of 2 of 1, sorry, 2 of 0, 2 of 1, and 2 of 2, like this. So the square brackets are really important. So don't forget to use a square bracket. So you cannot be just without a square bracket, we won't be able to utilize these things. Okay, so that's how it is. We will implement the multi-dimensional arrays in the programming things, guys. Okay, so I'll show it once again. I'll show it once after the next. All right, I'll show the ones after the next. Just focus. Okay, so we are getting all the things are clear at this moment of time. So multi-dimensional is going to be like this. So how to print the 2D array? That is access the values. Okay, now I'm using loop. So I'll use the for And since, okay, so I, I equal to 0 and I is lesser than, we can say that is ARR dot, and we can say that is length, and it gets like I plus plus. And now, so this for loop is to just access the index position. That is this 0, this is 1, this is 2. Okay, so this is index, this is 0, 0, and this is 1, and this is 2. So this for loop is only the index place and for the values. Okay, we can say that is first for loop. All right, first for loop is for the array indexing or array index. And second for loop, within this we'll use that is nested loop. All right, and nested loop to see or to have, or okay, to have the values. All right, to have the values. So for this, I'll say this for int j. All right, and start with the j starts again with a 0, and I'll say that is j is lesser than again arr dot length, and it is like j plus plus. All right, and the floor base like this. Okay, and for this I'll say that is system.out.println, and here arr of with I reference with j. ARR of I reference with J. So this is how we will execute the multi-dimensionals of array, guys. Okay, so for this, okay, let me save everything and let's just right click on this and go to the run as and just say Java application, and there your screen. So there you are having the values on the screen. So like 234, 362, and 742. Okay, this is how it will come. And one more thing, so what I do is I'll not print them in the next line. So what do I do is instead of saying ln over here, I'll say that is just print. So that means I'm trying to do it in, I'm trying to show it as like a matrix. Okay, so you can see 234, okay, 362, 742. So now what I want, this this 342 should be there, 362 should go next, and 373, this 742 should go next. So what do I do is I'll just come out of this for loop. Okay, so we did the same thing in the patterns, right? We had used the extra empty sysout like this, and this is for new line, right? This is for new line, right? And now, and everything, it should be with the extra space, that is one extra space like this, and this is I'll plus with this. Okay, so once the value is I value executes, j value executes, and the space would be there. Save everything, right click and come back, and I'll say it as like, okay, so this is going to be matrix now. It is like a matrix now. Is it looking like a matrix? Of course, it is looking like a matrix. And you wanted to see that is the number of rows and number of columns. As like, okay, so I'll go to the previous one, that is multidimensional arrays here. So I'll take this, the bottom line. Okay, I'll take this bottom line. So this is like arrays and that. Okay, just simply copy this and I'll come back here. Okay, I'll come back here and I'll simply paste it here. Okay, where just out of this for loop, I'll just place it here. All right, so what I've taken is ARR. Okay, so this should work. I'll right click and I'll run as Java application. It should give me the number of rows and number of columns. There you are. The number of columns are, so number of rows is 3, columns are 3, like that. So this line, this syntax line is remain same for everywhere. So this is how we will utilize the multi-dimensional, 2-dimensional, or any 3-dimensional also. This is multi-dimensional. So if you use this is 2, right? It is a 2-dimensional. I'm taking 3, so that means a multi-dimensional. It is not only with this, sir. Okay, I can take one more values here. That is 2, 4, 6. Okay, this is also possible. Save it, and I'll right click and I'll run as Java application. So it should give me that information. So wait a second. So it is like, okay, so I just missed closing the floor base. Save it, right click and run as Java application. So this should give me, so it is something like, index is 3 out of for length. So what it is 3 out of for length? Okay, so there is something like the length that I'm missing in out. Okay, it should be lesser than equal to 0. Okay, so it is somewhere like, how the 3 is. Okay, I've taken as length, no? Then index 3 out of bounds length 3. There is something is missing. But that's okay. I'll show this, 4 lines of, doing the different way out. I just thought that it will be working with this through two different for loops, but it did not. That's okay. That's really not a problem. So now you can say this. All right. So as of now, okay. So as of now, I'm sorry. Okay. As of now, the values are, okay. So as of now, the values are pretty much easy for this particular thing. Okay, so now there are 3 rows, 3 columns, and with the values 234, 362, and 742. So this is how the multi-dimensional and the 2-dimensional and the single dimensional arrays can be utilized. And going further, we will solve some problems related to that. That is in the next session. And until then, we are be stopping at this moment of time. If you have any doubt, please ask. And if there is if there is no doubt, then we are good to close. All right.
Sure.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good rest of the day. Enjoy the evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.